Hey again, it's Christina from Sunshine and Flora. So I'm filming this video on Monday, March 20th, and today I'm doing a few things with my seedlings that I wanted to show you. And I also have a list made up of quite a few questions that have come up lately after some videos, all related to growing seedlings and seed starting. So I made a list of those questions and I just wanted to go through and answer a lot of those for you guys too, because I thought that may be helpful. So the first thing in this video I want to share with you is how I fertilize my seedlings, because that has been a question that has come up a lot. And then the second part of this video, I'm going to be transplanting some of my seedlings. So as I do that and show you that, I'm going to be going through and answering a bunch of those questions for you. So the first thing I need to do is go get a seed tray and my fertilizer. I'm going to go do that, and then I'll show you how I fertilize my seedlings. Okay, so I have a tray of snapdragons here, and this is one of the things I want to fertilize today. Obviously, they have some really nice growth on them, and they are at a stage where I'm already fertilizing. I like to wait until they have a couple sets of leaves to start fertilizing them, and I always do everything at a half strength. So the fertilizer that I'm using this year is this Espoma Grow. It's an organic liquid fertilizer. You can order it online. I found this actually at a garden center, and this is a 222 as far as the numbers go. And I use this at half strength. So I fertilize my seedlings at half strength once a week. And so I go by the measurements on the back, divide it by half, and I use a gallon milk jug because that is an easy way to measure. Some of these come where you can just, it's like an automatic pour into the lid. This one actually has a screw top. So I do one of these in the gallon jug. And this does not smell bad or anything. It's kind of a dark color. Oh, I'm trying not to spill it here. There we go. So I pour one capful into the jug. And now I'll be going to fill this up with water. This may sound weird, but I think it smells like grape juice, which that probably sounds really weird to you. I used to use the fish emulsion fertilizer, and there was nothing wrong with that. And then I tried this, and I ended up really liking this, and I really like the smell of it a lot better. And I could easily get my hands on this at a local garden center, and so this is what I'm using this year. So you can see I have a little bit in the bottom here. I'm gonna go ahead and go fill this with water up at my sink. Okay, so I got this filled up. And to water this, I am always bottom watering. I never water from the top. So what I do, and I know a couple of you asked this, how do you bottom water? I just lift up the end and pour it in. And I usually try to put maybe a half to a quarter inch of water in the bottom. And then I just set this back down in, and I let it sit for probably about 20 minutes. And after that 20 minutes, you will notice the soil on the top is now full of moisture. And then anything that is left sitting in the bottom, as far as the water goes, I pour that out into the sink, because I don't want these to get waterlogged and be overwatered. I just want the soil to be able to absorb as much water as it needs, and then any excess I get rid of. So that's basically it. That is how I fertilize all of my seedlings. All right, so the next thing that I want to start doing is transplanting some of these snapdragons, and I think I'm going to put my hair in a ponytail first for this. Oh my gosh, that's so much better. Okay, so this is a fairly simple process, but basically you can see I have one type of snapdragon here. Hopefully you guys can see that. I have one type here and one type here. This entire row is empty, which makes me think, because I had such good germination, maybe I forgot to even seed that row. So snapdragons are really easy to transplant, and they take it really well. I'm not gonna be transplanting any of these two rows because this is Potomac Ivory and they are all full already. But I do want to fill this row, and I have an empty cell right here that I wanna fill. So this is the Cherry Rose, which is one of my favorites. So I'm just gonna find some cells that have multiple snapdragons in them. And this is a really good example. I will zoom in on the next one that I do so that you guys can see this. And this is the tool that I'm using. I have this link below in my Amazon store link. It just came with a little garden kit. And it's a really easy tool. You can use it to make a new hole for where your new seedling is going to go. And then you can use either end, you know, to help pry up the plant. So I used to use a pencil, but this works so much better. So basically, I'm just gonna take the seedling out. Oh my gosh, look at the roots on these already. I actually probably should have done this a little bit sooner, but that's okay. They usually pull apart really easy. So I'm just gonna break the seedling apart, and I might end up having to put some extra soil in the holes after this. Okay, so here's how that broke apart. So I'm gonna put the one back down in, and then maybe try to put a little bit of the soil back in around that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put some more soil in around these. That's totally normal. And then this one of these holes that I made, I'm just gonna push all the roots right down in that hole. And then I'm gonna pack the soil around the plant, and it's done. It's pretty easy. So let me zoom my camera in on this and I will show you one close up. Okay, so this is the row that I need to fill, and you can see I've gone in with this and just made a hole in each one of the cells. And this particular cell over here has actually 3 snapdragons in it. This one is really solid and it's kind of on its own. So I'm gonna go ahead and just try to dig up these 2 over here and maybe keep them together. There we go. So see what that looks like. So then these roots I'm gonna put down in this hole, just push them way down in, and then pack the soil around it. And then these 2, they're gonna be just fine together. So I need to go through and transplant these and this one. I need to fill one right there. And then this tray will be full, except over here I need to do a couple of the Potomac orange. So as I'm going through and transplanting the rest of these, I just wrote down a bunch of questions that you guys have recently commented on with my different videos, and I thought as I'm doing this, I would just go through and answer some of your questions. One of the things a couple of you had commented on was that you wanted to see my feverfew more up close. So here is a picture of what my current feverfew looks like. I actually have various trays of feverfew started. This is done because I want to have successions of feverfew so I don't harvest all of it at the same time. I want to be able to harvest the feverfew in multiple weeks for my bouquets. Okay, so I'm just going to read off my list as I'm transplanting these. Somebody asked, how many grow lights do you use per shelf? And the answer is 2. And someone else asked where I got my grow shelves at. The white ones that I use are actually from Home Depot. They're available online. They are, I think, 24 inches deep and 36 inches wide. I absolutely love them. They're right off of their website. I got free delivery with it, and it's just a nice sturdy shelf. I actually like that it's white because it's just nice and bright, and I can see where the dirt is and clean it really easily also. But going back to the lights, I use shop lights. I tend to use ones that are 4,000 to 5,000 lumens, and I use 2 per shelf. And you have to be careful when you lower your lights because sometimes you can get them too low and it can actually shade the middle. So I make sure that I, have it a few inches above some of my plants, but I don't want it to get too low because then the middle part of the tray in the middle of the shelf can actually not get as much light as the others. So that's definitely why you don't want to use just one light, because then the outside of your shelves would be darker. So I tend to put my lights on the outsides of the shelves, if that makes sense. And then, that gives it as much light as possible. Someone also commented, and I just wanted to mention this, I recently purchased some new shop lights for one of my new grow shelves, and I mentioned in one of my videos that I was really disappointed that the chains were not as long as previous ones that I had, and so I couldn't lower my lights. And somebody suggested, which this is so simple, and yet I don't know why I didn't think of this. Somebody suggested putting something under your trays to raise the tray up to the light, which is so simple, but so easy. So I actually did that. I ended up, I had some boxes and I put a box under some of my trays to raise them up to the level that they needed to be. And that totally solved my problem. So really easy. I just wanted to mention that because someone commented with that and I thought, well, duh, why haven't I done that? Okay, so the next question someone asked was, did I start seeds earlier than normal for my hoop house? And the answer is yes. So for example, I have snapdragons that I'm planting out in my garden, and I have snapdragons that I'm planting in my hoop house. The snapdragons that I planted for my hoop house, I started about 2 weeks earlier than the others, which doesn't sound like much, but they end up being quite a bit further ahead. Snapdragons are known as hardy annuals, so they actually can take a little bit of a frost. And so last year I planted my snapdragons and some of my other hardy annuals out much earlier than some of the more warm season flowers. And so I started snapdragons for my hoop house a couple weeks earlier even. I didn't know when I was going to be able to plant them out, but I wanted them to be bigger plants than the ones I was going to be planting in ground. So yes, the plants that are going in my hoop house got an earlier start than the ones going into the garden. Then my yellowing stock, I ordered 2 trays of stock from Farmer Bailey, and I'll put a picture up on the screen. And I have fungus gnats. They're getting better. I saw one flying around today. I tried to kill it, but I didn't get it. The bottom leaves of my stock are yellowing, and someone commented about that. And usually the first set of leaves are not your true leaves, and those will die off anyway. So I'm guessing that the bottom leaves of my stock are the ones that will be dying off. So I just kind of wanted to mention that. I did just fertilize them. They're looking really good. All of the new growth is looking really good. But the bottom leaves definitely are yellowing and falling off, but I think they're gonna be just fine. I think that that's just, the first leaves just coming off of there. Oh my gosh. The root system on these, I probably should have done this earlier, but that's okay. As long as I'm doing it now, and I'm definitely gonna add some soil in to some of these. So the next question someone asked was, how is my Bukuram doing? And the answer is really good. I actually just moved it under my grow light. So here's a picture of what it currently looks like now. You can see it's really starting to germinate. So I started my Bukuram by putting the tray on a cool cement floor in my furnace room and covering it with darkness. Now, I put a piece of cardboard over it to start, but once they start germinating, they're gonna hit that cardboard. So I ended up just putting a black bottom tray. I flipped it upside down and then put it on top of the tray, and then that kept it in darkness. This weekend I took that tray off, and I could see that they were, starting to come out about that far all over the tray. So I moved it under my grow lights, and then what it looks like now is currently just after a few days. I mean, they're starting to green up, they're shooting up, So I had fantastic luck with how I did my Bukuram this year. That's a really hard word for me to say for some reason. So this will be the first planting that goes outside into the garden. I will do another succession planting of them, direct seeding. Direct seeding does work good outside once the soil is warm enough. I did it last year and it worked great. So this inside tray will be the first succession, and then I will direct sow a second succession of it. Okay, I think it's time for me to get a different tray of snapdragons to work on. All right, so got another tray of snapdragons to do. I actually brought up yet another tray, and when I get to that one, I will show you, but some of them are a little heavier seeded and necessarily don't need transplanting. So I grabbed my scissors and I'm gonna be thinning those. And what I do with that is I just cut the actual plant off at soil level. And then that is how I thin those, if I don't need to transplant any. All right, I'm gonna keep going on my questions here. Someone asked, where do I get my seeds? So I get a lot of my seeds from Geo. You do not have to be a business or have a wholesale account with them to order from them, but they have wholesale prices. Their catalog is all just text, it's not pictures, and so you definitely need to know what you're looking for, but they have a huge selection. I mean, the biggest selection of plants that I have ever seen for seeds. And so I got a lot of my seeds from them this year. And I of course also get some from Johnny's. And then I have a few other random companies that I get seeds like Flora, Select Seeds. I ordered some geraniums through Swallowtail Gardens, Park Seed. Those are a few other random companies, but a majority came from Geo or Johnny's. Okay, so I had quite a few comments from you guys about that compost video that I posted. That composter was sent out to me as a gift to try, and I thought that it would be a really great way to get rid of kitchen scraps, regardless of whether the medium that it produces is ready to plant in right away. Now with any compost, you have to make sure that it is aged long enough so it is not hot, as they call it, so that when you plant in it, it doesn't kill your plants. So this composter basically breaks down the food, which is great because it helps eliminate waste, and that is, you know, the goal to cut down on garbage. So whether I plant in it directly or not, which I don't plan to because I'm not planting anything right now, I have all of this food that is already broken down that I can put right into my compost bin, and it's a little ahead of everything. So it will mix in with my current compost great. I don't know that it's something that I will use all the time, but it was really fun to try to get rid of a whole bunch of kitchen scraps that we just happen to have. And those will go straight out into the compost pile and just kind of help that break down. So anyway, I just wanted to touch on that a little bit with you guys. Ranunculus. Here is a picture of my current ranunculus situation. This entire grow shelf is completely full of ranunculus. It's bursting from the seams. My hoop house desperately needs to get up. So actually today we are in the 40s, close to 50. And this whole week is supposed to be in the 40s and lower 50s. So the frost is definitely going to start coming out of the ground. The first step in putting the hoop house up is pounding the stakes in the ground. I think they're like 60-inch stakes that need to go a couple feet into the ground every 4 feet. And so there's a lot of stakes that need to go on the ground, and the frost has to be out. It is not yet, so that is what I am waiting on. I'm hoping in the next week or two that we can start putting that up. And then as soon as we do, those ranunculus can get planted out. But a lot of you asked where I get my ranunculus from. So I have mentioned this group a lot before. It's a Facebook group. It's owned by a guy named Jake, and it's called Wholesale for the Small Scale Grower. He offers all kinds of plants that you can order at wholesale prices in small quantities. And so last year I ended up getting quite a few ranunculus from him. I also ordered a lot of my corms through Leo Burby, which is a wholesale company. You do need to be able to order wholesale to order from them. And then I got a few different groupings from Awnings, which is another wholesale company. But if you are looking to currently buy ranunculus and you are not a business and you just want to order some, you can find them from a lot of different sites. Like I know Eden Brothers sells them, and when they are available to, you know, consumers and home gardeners, they kind of sell them when they're ready to go on the ground. So if you're going to be ordering them now, these are ones that need to be pre-soaked and then go in the ground yet this spring. They are not ones that you can save for next fall. I mean, you can try, but I don't know that they would last that long. So if you're ordering them now, they're ones that you're going to be wanting to plant this spring. Someone asked recently, why do I start so many seeds? So I just thought that I would touch on this in case you are new to my channel. I start so many seeds because I sell cut flowers. So I'm in charge of our local farmers market, which is every single Tuesday in the summer. It starts in June and goes through September. I am there every single Tuesday with cut flower bouquets. I also do a huge market at the end of the year that I specifically grow certain flowers for, like hundreds of sunflowers. So you will see me this year planting more sunflowers than ever just for that particular market. I have a lot of people that will order special order from me, and so I sell my flowers that way. And then last year I took flowers every couple weeks or so to a bakery that was about 20 minutes away, so I sold flowers there. I had one florist that I sold flowers to, and this year I actually have 3 florists interested in buying flowers from me. The first thing that they will be buying from me this spring will be my tulips. I have thousands of tulips planted. They actually are coming up already, which I'm really excited about. And so one of the first things that you will see me selling in my videos are all of my tulips this spring. So that is why I start so many seeds, because I actually sell the flowers. So someone asked why I used plugs this year when I was doing my cuttings for dahlias. You do not have to use plugs. A lot of people just use soil. Last year I used soil and I had about 50-50 percentage rate on if my cuttings took or not. This year I happened to come across Root Riot plugs on Instagram, I think, and I was reading about them and thought, you know, those look really easy. I think I'll give them a try. I have them linked in my Amazon link. I just ordered them on Amazon, and I have 100% luck with the cuttings that I have taken so far using these Root Riot plugs. Now they are not soil. They are, let me remember what they are. They're a peat moss, a sphagnum peat moss, I believe. They're already moist, so my cuttings root in there, and then I transplanted them into soil. 100% of them look good. So I probably will be using the Root Riot plugs again next year. One more question about the ranunculus. Someone asked how often I water them. I typically water mine about every other day. I find out that they dry out very quickly. I think that's a combination of my building being so dry and the fact that they are planted in the trays so closely and now have such great root systems. So I water them with a watering can. I soak them every other day. Okay, the last question was about seed starting in humidity domes. Someone asked, when do I take the humidity domes off of my seed trays? So once I see that the tray is almost fully germinated, I will turn the heat mat off and remove that, and I will take the humidity dome off. Now, once you take the humidity dome off, you really have to watch the soil because it's going to dry out a lot faster. And so I make sure to, at that point, start bottom watering it so that your seedlings do not dry out, because if they dry out and they are tiny, they're going to die off really fast. So when you do take your humidity dome off, you just want to make sure that you're really watching it quickly. Okay, so that is all the questions I wanted to answer today. I just wanted to show you this particular end of my seed tray. If you can see, a lot of these cells in particular have 3 to 4 plants per cell. This is the spot where I'm going to come in with my scissors wherever I put that. And I'm just gonna clip some of these small ones right off at the soil level instead of trying to transplant all of these little ones, because I don't have that many empty cells. But I wanna make sure that these snapdragons grow to their full potential. I'm just gonna thin them out by cutting at the top of the soil. And then this tray will get down to 1 plant per cell. Okay, you guys, so that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing what I'm doing right now as far as transplanting and fertilizing, and I hope you guys enjoyed hearing a lot of those questions answered. I just thought that there were a lot lately and maybe it would be good to answer them in a video. So that's gonna be it for today. I'm gonna continue working on these. I think the next video I will be sharing with you guys is all of my end of March seeds starting. The end of this week, I have my last huge amount of seeds that I'm starting for the season, all the really warm season flowers. So I will go through those with you guys and share what they are and probably quickly tell you how I start them. And then, yeah, pretty soon, hopefully the frost is out, the hoop house can be up, the ranunculus can go out, and then it'll just be crazy from there on out. So anyway, stay tuned for all of that. We'll see you soon.